staring at me saying, wow. Unforgettable.
The lesson I've learned is adaptability. When it comes to developing software, you always have to adapt. You wake up, you have an issue, fix it. Welcome guys to another YouTube video. We're gonna be talking about how it's like building a software company at 18 and 19 years old. There's a lot of challenges that are involved. There's a lot of things you don't really think of that are involved, compared to a typical service-based or product-based business. And that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Now, this is kind of podcast style, but I do wanna do more YouTube videos about this because there is a lot I've learned over the last 3.5 years of going into certain industries, little businesses that I started here and there. And a lot of people have done that, but I have learned a lot and I wanna share that on this YouTube video. Over here I have
Oliver. I've been, a little backstory on me. I've been day trading for about 2 years now. At 18, I moved out of my hometown and went to Thailand for a couple months, and then went to Hawaii and magically ended up back in Arizona with Rylan.
And it's actually crazy, his story. He moved out to Thailand completely by himself. The same time I moved out by myself, but I was still in state. He moved to Thailand, didn't even speak the language. The only thing he communicated with people were like hand signals and stuff. So pretty crazy story he has over there. And we're gonna do more videos in the future about that. But today we're gonna be talking about starting a software business. So a little story on how I got into software was over 1.5 years ago, I created an app, got it in the App Store. I created multiple apps, and the reason I started doing that is because I liked the MRR. I liked the reoccurring revenue that came from apps. But a challenge I didn't see when it came to developing apps is the long-term vision you have to have. And now, as I know in many business models, you have to always be thinking about the 5-year, the 2-year, the 3-year. You can't just make an app, put it in the App Store, and then start making 30K a month. It's way different than that. And you really have to focus on the long-term vision. You have to take the hit today. You have to take the hit this week to then benefit from it in a month from now, 3 months from now, and a year from now. I know in day trading, you kind of have to experience that where you have to focus on the higher time frame. You have to focus on the long-term vision.
Right, exactly. Yeah, in trading especially, if this 1 week happens to be an overall loss of a week, you can't just throw your hands up in the air and quit, because that's what most traders do. And then they find no success in it, obviously,
Yeah, no, exactly. And another big challenge you get when it comes to software development is you're always navigating through new things. 3.5 years ago, I started a little window cleaning business, and it was very simple. You go and you knock doors, you get a customer, you clean their windows. Then I started landscaping. I go and knock doors, I clean up the yard, and then I progressively get into some bigger jobs maybe. I did end up hiring like 3 employees at once, which isn't a lot, but it was very cool because I learned a lot of things. I was in school, texting a bunch of employees, trying to figure out jobs, a lot of stress management, not getting paid from jobs, just learning real life, because when you go to college or when you are younger, you don't really know how much life can hit you at once. And, it's pretty cliche to say, but it's true. You go out and you have all these things hit you at once. You have bills, you have things to pay, you have to take care of your health, you have to still go to the gym while also trying to work and pay for rent. So you have all these things going on. You don't just get to go home from school, have a meal already made for you, and then go to bed. It's just not that simple. So a big thing I learned from business was being able to have stress management, and especially in software development, you have to handle high amounts of stress while looking at the long-term vision and getting zero reward. It's very, there's very little benefit if you can't see the future. When you can see the future, you see all sorts of potential and all sorts of benefits. And that's why I love the software game, because not many people can actually handle it.
I agree. Yeah, and taking trading into that is, no one's ever done it before. So there's a lot of things that we especially face that, people don't really see. And like you were talking about with the door-to-door sales, you get a client, it's easy, that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
But getting a client for a software base, or even with your app, it is tenfold more difficult. I wasn't too heavily in the business side of things as much as you were growing up. So you have the skills to, obtain people and retain people, but online it's just a whole different ballpark.
Well, you can't shake their hand, you can't meet the person, you can't
and they don't know you.
Yeah, they don't know who you are, and it's like you're trying to sell someone over a video, over a screen, rather than shaking their hand. How are you doing? What do you do for a living? And having a conversation, it's just straight to the point. What do you sell? Are you interested? So it's a way different ballpark. It's a way different game. And It's what makes, you know, software development and trading such a great compatibility. That's why I love what we're doing with Capital Rush. If you guys don't know already, this is my business partner, and we're developing Capital Rush. We've been doing it for close to 7 months now, total 8 months. And that's not including all the other software development we have outside of that. But with Capital Rush, you know, we're developing something that involves people to look at the higher time frame, involves them looking at the longer picture, but we're also targeting an audience that has, you know, quick gratification. They can make $1,000 in 1 minute, they can make $5,000 in a week, but then they can also lose it all. So that's why we're developing this, so they can, you know, continue to make that money over and over again, but not lose it all. Because that's why traders fail in the space, because they see how fast the money can come in, but then the money can go out just as easily.
I have one question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What is your biggest takeaway from building this whole system in all?
Capital Rush in general?
Yep, the biggest takeaway.
I think my biggest takeaway would be, like, in a sense of what I've learned.
Either what you've learned, what you notice about other people, just your overall biggest takeaway, the thing that is like, wow, you know?
I think the biggest takeaway is you benefit more when you benefit the people. So I think, you know, there's a lot of takeaways, but something I've already said multiple times in this video, when you focus on delivering the best to our customers, you deliver the best product, you give them the best service, and you focus on that rather than your own benefit, then you actually build a community where everyone is actually seeing the long-term picture. You know, I know multiple people now that are inside Capital Rush, they are so excited for the future of it. They're not just excited for themselves and what they're getting out of it. They're excited to see where Capital Rush goes, and that's something I love about what we're building.
I agree. I agree.
What about you?
My biggest takeaway is, you know, and obviously I've known everyone is different. You know, my biggest thing right now especially is just stress levels between different people. You know, we don't really realize it, but when we wake up, no matter how the outlook of the day is, we're going to get it handled, whether that's good or bad. We're going to handle it and it's going to be fine. But I'm realizing, especially a lot of younger people our age, they, you know, if on their way to work they're low on gas, they're going to freak out, right? If I'm on my way to work and I'm out of gas, I'm going to work more hours, you know? And a lot of people don't operate that way, and a lot of people aren't willing to put in the work that it actually takes to build something long-term. And like you were talking about with instant gratification, that happens all the time on our side of things as well, as the people developing things, the people that are selling information. We don't sell information. The people that do sell information, you know, a lot of them, they want what's now. They want it now.
Well, they make a video once and they go and sell it as a course.
Exactly.
You know, they put in that time for one day, they go and sell it, and all it is from there is making videos.
Exactly.
So what we do is we develop a product that people can use, but what that product takes is constant development on a daily basis. There's always something to fix. There's always something to improve. And yeah, you are right with the instant gratification. Another thing I would say, a big lesson I've learned is adaptability. You know, when it comes to developing software, you always have to adapt. You wake up, you have an issue, fix it. You know, we don't get an issue and we're like, all right, we don't got time right now, we'll do it next week. It's like, issue, all right, that's our main priority. We got to put everything off because this is actually affecting the customers right now.
Exactly. So it's not like we're going to wake up, we plan to go to the lake today, or we plan to go and do this today. If something's wrong, that's getting dealt with instantly. The second I find out something's wrong, it's getting dealt with.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people don't have the integrity, honestly, to, you know, have that done. You know?
No, for sure. So if you guys want to see more videos like this, just let us know down in the comments. I want to film more things like this. I love this type of talk. I like this type of video. So let us know. But before we do end the video, I want to ask you one thing. What was the main event that happened in your life to get you to where you are today? Say a year ago, just a year ago, you were graduating high school. A year and like a month ago, you were graduating high school and you didn't know what, you were working at Discount Tire, living in your hometown. What got you to this point? Why did you decide to go to Thailand or, you know?
So, number one, there's two parts to this story. So the first part is, you know, I hated my job. I was working 45, 50 hours a week for minimum wage, and I wasn't, you know, getting the pay that I was supposed to be. So that was a big thing. Another thing was this person in my life, he told me, he was like, you're a pussy. You know what you need to do. You have this laid out in front of you. You're a pussy for not quitting your job, for not trusting yourself. And then just about a week later, quit my job. And I was like, damn, well, I can't stay in my hometown because, you know,
Have to get out.
small-minded, such small-minded, trapped. Everyone there is so draining. And, you know, you don't get ideas. When you see the same thing every single day, you're not going to get new ideas. Simple as that. And so I'm like, all right, I need to go. I booked a one-way, Thailand, got there, can't enter the country with a one-way ticket because you have to prove that you're leaving. Drained my bank account, buying a flight return, and then figured it out. So, yeah, I mean, just quitting the job and realizing no one is going to help you but you. There's going to be people that can inspire you. There's going to be people that can tell you to do things, but you're the one that's going to have to do it, you know?
Yeah. No, exactly. And, you know, we're not going to be here to motivate you or do any of that because I'm sure you get enough of that from Instagram Reels. But what we are here to say is the truth. And I think the biggest thing that helped me was realizing the price you pay for taking the risk is better than the bill of regret, which I've heard from the School of Hard Knocks. And it's so true because the worst thought I ever had was a year ago thinking that I was still in college, I was still going to school, and I didn't take that risk, especially after all of the stuff I was doing with the window cleaning, the landscaping, the marketing. I was doing all sorts of little adventures. And I wanted to take that to my full-time career, and I wanted to see what I could do if I can put in, you know, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. I'm not saying I do that every day, but there is days when I work very long hours, and I wanted to see what I could build, what I could create, and what I could learn when I actually go and take that. And it was that simple. I had to do it. I had to find out what I was made of. So
yeah, you have 12 working hours in the day. Set the rest aside. You have 12 working hours. And I thought back to when I was working, and I'm like, is 12 hours of my working day that I'm not sleeping, that I'm not relaxing, that I'm not in the gym, is that worth minimum wage? No.
Yeah.
You can do so much more with your time than get paid $12, $16.
Yeah, and working doesn't just have to mean, you know, you're behind the computer. Working is taking phone calls, it's doing content creation, it's planning out your future. You know, not enough people realize that if you just sit down, go over your goals and plan it out step by step, that is a big part of your day because it actually gets you to where you want to go. How are you going to drive to California if you don't have a map? You're just going to drive nowhere. So we're going to do more of these videos. Let us know in the comments if you do like these videos. But for now, if there's anything you should take away from this video, it's the fact that you can do it. You have a purpose, you have something you're meant for, and all you have to do is take that little bit of risk for the big reward that's at the end.
And it is possible.
Gucci berry wine, I'm singing to you.